All right. Hey, everybody. So, uh, I'm still working on the video on the first shot. Uh, Let me show you this. This is one of three diagrams, and I'm explaining every single one of these shots and every single one of these positions. So, there's a lot going into that. It's taking a while to do it. Um, in the meantime, I had somebody send me this video to kind of give them some thoughts about uh, what I saw and the way it was played. So let's go ahead and we're going to review this and go through it piece by piece. Um, Now the focus is on improvement. So most of the commentary that we do is going to be the is going to be opportunities to improve. So don't take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to say this is bad. It's actually not that bad. Um, I have watched it already and given some personal feedback. Uh, but I wanted to share this and use it as a learning opportunity for everybody else. And if we want to, uh, if you feel like this is valuable, um, I'll set up a way for you to get your videos to me so that I can review them and share, and we can all learn together. Okay, so let's get going on this. We'll start out here with the break. Okay, hitting a little bit low on the cue ball. We've got a magic rack here. Okay, so this was a draw break, drawing up to the top of the table. Uh, Good spread. You expect that with the magic rack. So one thing I'll say right away about the magic rack. Yes, it makes the rack consistent, but when it's time to practice, you should practice with a wooden rack. Um, and the reason for that is that it's very easy to go from a wood rack to a magic rack because your break really doesn't change. Um, but going from a magic rack to a wood rack is a completely different case. Going from practicing with a magic rack, you saw that wasn't really a big break, that was more of a controlled break. That controlled break will not work the same way with a wood rack, especially if your opponent is racking for you. So I do recommend that even if you are going to use the magic rack when you play against people, that you practice primarily with a wooden rack. You might practice with a magic rack just to see how they break up and to refine where and how you're hitting it, but use a wood rack for practice. Um, you can see looking at this table, everything's wide open. Uh, Had a little bit of a challenge because the cue ball went further up, and now there's a difficult cut. He's going to take ball in hand. That's fine. Um, we all play the ghost. Uh, there's another game you can play also that I think is actually better than the ghost, which is one where you don't take ball in hand. Uh, Instead, like here, you would play a safety. So you go ahead and play the safety, and if you get a good safety where the object ball is completely obscured, then it's a tie and you go re-break. So you either run it out and win, you miss a ball and you lose, or you play a safety, and if you play a good one, that's a tie. And I kind of like that. You only play one inning, um, so you break, and then you either run them, you play a safe, or you don't run them and you lose. So I kind of like that as a practice game. I do that a lot, simply because you need to work your safeties into your practice routine. And if you're going to play the ghost, um, incorporating safeties into the game with the ghost is a good idea. Okay, let's continue on. So you could shoot that in the side from there. It will go. Let's see what we get here. Okay, so he's going to stun this up. That's fine. I do think it would have been better to bounce off the rail into position. Using the rails, he wouldn't have had this touch shot on this 2. This is kind of thin cut, and he's got to hold the Q. So he pulls off a drag shot on it. That's good. Gets his leave on the 3. It definitely goes. This is top left to come 2 rails out is the right way to play this. Okay, so stop here. This is a really awkward position, and it's going to cause you, as the longer you stay in that position, the more shaky it's going to get, the more you're going to wobble from side to side. So very easy to miss a shot because you're balanced like this. If you are going to balance like this, for whatever reason, put your chest on the table. Give yourself some extra support right here. Just go all the way down on the table. It's you want your base to be solid. Okay, let's keep watching. Okay, I don't know if you saw that. Let's just back up just a little bit here. Look right here is the top of his head. Watch this. You see it? Raised his head during the shot. That may have been because of the stability, or it may have been because of it may have been because of stability. It may also have been due to just because he's got that raise in his stroke. So let's keep watching. All right, so right way to play this is to stun off the rail into position for, oh, sorry, the 5 is down table. Is that the 4 or the 5? I guess that's the 4 here. Okay, so off the rail, out for the 4, that's good. Okay, stunning into position, that's good. No reason to make it any harder than it has to be. Okay, now he's got to go up and down the table here, and he chooses to draw. Okay, so bunch of stuff just happened there. So once again, I forgot to get rid of my line. Once again, top of the head. See how far he raised up off of that shot? Really need to keep your head down. The rule of thumb on moving is the only thing that moves during the shot is your arm, and you stay at your finish position until the balls stop moving. Okay? You only move out of the way if you have to. You stay in one place and you stay there.
So just real quick, I wanted to talk about this concept of staying down on the ball. You heard me say that you don't want to move until you have to, okay? What I mean by that is, first of all, when you shoot, you should not come up off the table until the balls stop moving, okay? So if I shoot this, now I stand up, You see how long I stayed there? I stayed there all the way until that cue ball stopped moving. Long shot. Let's say I've got something like this. I'm going to shoot this. And I'm just going to stay right here until that cue ball stops. I can move my head and watch it, but I'm going to stay right there. When I move, I'm going to move because I'm about to get hit by the cue ball. So if I do this, now I move. You saw I waited until the last second to stand up. Okay, get in the habit of doing that. That's really, really important. So there's one other thing to know about that, and that's the question of how do I do that if I'm going to draw? Okay, especially if I'm going to draw straight in. Well, first of all, if you have any angle at all, right? If you have any angle at all, you can just stay there. That's not going to hit the cue. You can just stay there until the ball stops moving. And I stood up too early that time. Now, is it going to break that shot that I stood up after, 3 seconds that the cue ball was moving? No. But if you get in the habit of staying down until you have to move or until the ball stops, that is a great habit to have, and it'll make a difference in your stroke. Okay, now what about draw shots that are straight in? What if I've got this straight in shot that I need to draw? Well, all I have to do is roll my wrist. The rest of me stays still. I just roll my wrist over to get the cue out of the way. Okay? And I don't do it as much as some people do when they're doing that. But straight in draw, just roll your wrist. Everything else stays steady. Okay, and I'm not rolling my wrist as much as I used to. Back in the day, as the ball was coming back, when it got about here, I would roll my wrist all the way over, which gives a clear path for the cue ball and moves me out of the way, but keeps my body position the same. Bang, I hit it, it comes back. I just roll my wrist over to get the cue out of the way. Minimal movement, and you're done. Okay? So when I say stay down on the shot, I mean stay down on the shot. If I've got something like, say this, right? And I'm going to go short way around. I'm going to hit that ball and just stand up at the last second. Notice I stayed down. I didn't move. I didn't wobble the cue. I stayed where my follow through ended until the cue ball was in danger of hitting me. So when I say stay down on the ball, that is what I mean.
Another thing is he's using an open bridge here. I'm a fan of closed bridge on just about every shot. I know I don't do it when I'm shooting right now. I'm fixing that. That's actually a problem. I'm not using the closed bridge anywhere near enough. Part of that's due to my hand. But at the end of the day, it's better to use a closed bridge when you're out in the open table. You use an open bridge when you need to, not for every shot. Okay, let's watch this again. The right way to shoot this shot is to roll up to the rail, bounce off. And you saw him diagram, he was going to go around the table. That's the right way to do it. But instead, he draws the ball and gets dead straight in. Okay, so let's back up just a hair here. If you were to shoot this in and go forward, you get all the way to the rail and then all the way back, and you're in position. And from anywhere there, you can go short way around, hit the ball. Cue ball goes here, goes here, goes here, and comes right down the line to the 9. So don't this draw was unnecessary, and it's actually detrimental because if he stops it dead, he's almost straight in. If he backs it up 2 or 3 inches, he's almost straight in. If he's over here, now he's playing a shot to go. Let me clear those lines. Now, if he gets too far where he's like where he is right now, now he's got to shoot this, come off the rail, and come down this way across the line of the leave. So it's better to be closer to the rail rather than out here. And it's a natural angle. If the cue ball is where the 1 is now, he can just shoot it. Bang, comes over here, comes up here, comes over here, and comes right down the line of the leave. So rather than drawing this ball, use your rails. They do a lot for you. They will help you to control your speed. They'll help you with a lot of things. So let's keep going. Okay, draws. Now he's dead straight in. He's going to have to draw, and he's drawing across the line of the leave for the 9. I would be really tempted to cheat this and go forward rather than drawing back. He's going to get away with it simply because of where the 9 is. That actually looked pretty good. His head stayed down on it. All right, next rack. Let's see what we got here. Stood up on the break again. I'm not going to harp on that. At the end of the day, keep your head down. Don't rise up as part of your stroke, especially if you're raising your head before you swing at it. Okay, so again, I like playing this from position as one. That's a good shot. I like playing from position and playing 1 inning. Okay, so you've got a long shot here. Let's stop for a second. We've got a good angle. Cue ball is going to go this. Let's try this way. So here's the natural angle. I would really consider following this with top inside to kill it. Okay, which will bring the ball up at an angle like this. Probably up in here. And it would be okay to bump the 9 ball. There's no danger of running the 9 in front of something. So I would consider that. Instead, let's see what happens here. So that was bottom right. And you can see he ended up on the rail, and he's coming across the leave zone. So he went, let's back this up. So he stunned this way with right hand English, which caused it to spin wide. And he hits the rail, and he just comes off a little bit. In fact, he doesn't even get that much. He ends up almost on the rail with up here with a cut down to this corner. It's a pretty severe cut. I would very much prefer on this shot going forward with inside English to kill it on the rail and just come straight into position here. This forward cut is so much easier than the backward cut. And also, when you shoot this, you're going to be able to just roll off the rail side to side and come straight up the line for the 5. So I really like this a lot better. Um, there wasn't anything wrong with the shot he did except the speed. If he gets the speed right, he comes up, another 3 inches. But now you've given yourself a 3-inch landing zone to get on the shot the way that you had it envisioned. So rather than doing that, I just like coming forward and up. I'll take this cut over this backward cut any day of the week. Especially since the backward cut, now your tangent line is this way. You're coming across the leave zone of the 5, and it's really easy to end up down there because you have so much. It's such a touch shot. All right, so let's go ahead and keep going. And you can see from here, he's going to have to go across to that rail. So this time we're going to be able to see a stroke from behind. Let's watch and see if he lifts the cue from its original line, or if he's got any shoulder movement on this side. Okay, so stop. He's winging a little bit here. See how this is not straight up and down? That means there's tension here in the forearm, um, which will cause you to have some issues. You really want that arm to be straight up and down. A little bit off, you know, like this would be okay. A little bit off this way is pretty common. In fact, Efren shoots with his elbow slightly in. But this is a pretty extreme angle. It means that you're using muscle, you're engaging muscle in your forearm to hold the cue. Don't just let this arm hang. Now I know we were a little off angle on that, and it's straighter than it looks in the image. But just bear in mind, you don't want any tension in your forearm. You don't want those muscles engaging. In fact, let me back up here to where you're down on that shot. When you shoot this, so when you shoot this, you want all of the movement to come from your tricep. You don't want any forearm engagement at all. The less you engage your forearm, the less you're going to wobble the cue. Now, there will be a little bit of forearm involved, but you want all of the power in your shot and all of the control in your shot to come from your tricep. It doesn't mean your forearm won't engage. It will, but you should feel it here, not here. Okay, that was good. Here you just want to shoot it, make it, and let the cue ball wander off the rail. Don't do anything with it. That's a good shot. All right, once again, here you should be looking on this shot. You should be looking to go here, 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 and then bounce off the rail a little for the 9. That's the route you want here. Stood up again, and you went straight up and down the table. So let me point this out. So your leave zone here is from about there to about there. Okay, you don't want to get any further down. You don't want to be parallel with the 9. You can still get out parallel with the 9, but you really just don't want to, right? So if you come straight down the table, like you did, you're coming across the leave zone. That means you've got from here to land the cue ball on a on a 9 foot. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is a gold crown. Nine on a 9 foot table, you're giving yourself a 1 foot landing area here. If instead you were to go this way, again, this is the short way around. It hits in here and it comes out. Now, on this side, that same landing zone looks like this. Again, we don't want to be below the 9, we want to be above it. But now, you've got a landing zone that goes from here all the way up to here. So that's about a foot there and 2 feet this way, so 3 feet that you can land in. So it's 3 times the landing zone that you had the way that you went, which means that you'll have much more margin for error if your speed is off. The way you hit it, you have to land in that 1 foot area. This way you get 3 feet and you've got a rail to help slow the cue ball down. The way you did it, it worked out. It's good speed control. The but you don't want to go around it. You don't want to try to be perfect on your leaves. You want to go ahead and give yourself the biggest margin of error that you can get. Or is that their open bridge again? You stayed down on that 9 nicely. That's what every shot should be like. You should stay down on them just the way you did. Well, I don't know what happened to my sound here, and I've had a challenge with the tool that I use for drawing. I don't know why last week it worked perfectly, this week it doesn't, so I'm going to have to use kind of the built-in tool, which is not the greatest in the world. I'm going to do my best to explain this and to match it up with the video that I took. I don't know why my sound wasn't working. Just all kinds of technical difficulties, but I didn't want you to have to wait for another week while I figure this out or find a new tool. So we're just going to go forward with it. I want to point out here the you remember the chicken wing that I was talking about, where his elbow is out and his arm is in. We're going to see that here momentarily. So let's just let this go, and I'll try and point it out. I do a little bit of drawing, but at the end of the day, it's not the greatest solution. I'm sorry for that. I did this after the fact because I noticed it when I was. All right, so if you look at this, his elbow is up here and his hand is down there. And I'm using the cursor to point at it. I know it's not a perfect solution, but you see how that's not straight up and down? That's because his hand is closer to his body than his elbow is. His hand should be straight up and down from that elbow. Something like this. It's not a great drawing, but something like that. Let's try that again. Straight up and down like that. And you can see here the gap between straight up and down in his hand. What that's going to do is that's going to make his hand push the cue in a really crooked direction. Now that's just my drawing. that's going to make him push his hand off to his left or right. So he's left-handed, that's his left-handed. He's going to push his hand out to the left, which is going to cause the Q-tip, with my wonderful arrow there, to go to the left. Okay, so that's going to take his stroke offline. If you look here, I've drawn a little line there that represents the direction his cue is facing and his and where the tip of the cue is. Now, if you look at this, and again, I'm real challenges drawing. Okay, so if you look, here's the line of the cue. There's that little red line there. I'm putting the mouse cursor where his tip is because that line's going to disappear on me using this tool. So he shoots. Now look where his tip is. It's off to the right of the cursor. It's actually because he is winging the cue. He's actually pushed that off about almost half an inch to the right of where he was aiming. That's the original cue angle. And if you look now, his hand is under. If you look now, his hand is directly under his elbow. That's a natural thing. That's a natural physical thing. If you're winging, when you stroke, your hand moves out, it moves off, away from your body, and it does that naturally, which means that your tip moves to the opposite side. All right, next break. Okay. So we got a wide open table. You shoot this from position, or you could shoot it from position, or you could take ball in hand. Either way. All right, looks like you're going to shoot for position. So this tangent line runs directly to that side pocket. If you're going to hit this, you want to have some side spin on it. You don't want pure top. You don't want. You're going to be hitting it thin, so your top's not going to have much effect if you do, which is what you're going to have to do because you're on the rail. So in practice, this is a good shot to shoot. If I was playing in a tournament, I wouldn't shoot this. I would shoot the one ball into that rail and down to the end of the table and roll the cue ball off the rail and right here behind that ball. But this is practice. You're being aggressive. That's fine. Let's go ahead and keep going. This is going to be very close to a scratch if it doesn't scratch. Okay, so the only reason you got away with that, the only reason that you got away with that and it didn't fall on that side is because you hit it off, oh, is because you hit, when it went in, it went off the rail. And you almost missed it because of that. These pockets are kind of forgiving. I'd say these are probably 5-inch pockets, maybe 5 1/4. It looks like the standard Gold Crown, not a tournament edition. So on a tighter table, that wouldn't have gone in. And if you had hit the center of the pocket the way you tried, you would have been in that side pocket over here. So dangerous shot. I get that it's practice. Good shot. Got a little lucky on the leave. In a tournament, you don't even shoot that shot. You roll the one into the rail and you put the cue ball behind that 8. It's a very easy safe. Okay, so let's keep going. again with the draw. Um, it's okay there. Personally, I would I would come off the bottom rail. I would go forward on that just because it's easier to control, but it is a little bit more dangerous. Okay, good shot. Came off the rail nicely. Okay, so something I just saw, or something I saw there, is on this three, you're going to hit this with bottom left. Okay, that's going to cause the cue ball to come up this way and then spin this way, and you just barely get a shot on the four. If instead you stun it, then the cue ball comes up tangent line, hits here, and comes this way. You still get the same basic leave, but now you've got no danger of being behind that five. So there really wasn't a reason to draw it, and there was a really good reason not to draw it. Bear in mind, you want to control your angle into the rail, and when you've got a ball that's dangerous like this, you don't want to pull the cue ball in the direction of the danger. In fact, you could actually go top left and hit here and come out like this, and then you're even safer, right? If you use top left on this, you don't even have there's no risk of being behind this five. Stun left, uh, top left, you have to kind of roll it. But stun left, you come in the middle, and you really don't ever get behind that five ball. It worked out for you, but the way that you shot it with draw was risky. See that? You got there, but it was risky. Now now this shot, so here's the five ball, here's the six. The very last thing you want to do is to be, here's a line from the pocket through the five. You do not want to be on this side of that five. You absolutely want to be on this half. To do that, what you want to do, it looks like you've got a little bit of angle. I can't really see it as well as you do, but if you have any angle at all, if your angle on, let's just look at this. Let's see if we can see that. So if we go from the center of the pocket through the four, that's pretty straight in. No, actually it's not. Let's go from the center of the pocket through the four. So you're on the right side of this, okay? And the main thing that you want is you do not want to be right in here where you're straight in, or over here where you're on the wrong side of the five. Okay? I would pound this. I would either pound this in, or I would go with just half a tip of top and a little bit of left, so that the cue ball hits the rail and then comes out this way. You absolutely do not want to be straight in or on the wrong side of this, because if you're on the wrong side of this, now you've got to go around the table to get there. We want to keep our cue ball motion kind of under control. Okay, so you're looking at it. It looks like you're on the wrong side of that four. If you're on the wrong side of that four, based on where you just put your cue, if you're on the wrong side, if this, you're gonna want to shoot that in if you're on the wrong side, and go forward with top left to spin out like this. You would rather have a thin cut into the side than to be on the wrong side of this one. I would do anything to not be on the wrong side of this, let's see which way the cue ball moves when you hit it, and we'll kind of take it from there. It looks like you're considering drawing it. Okay, so I don't think you got enough here. I think you're on the wrong side of that 5. Okay, you're going to draw back and just take the best angle you can get. Oh. Okay, here's what happened. So here's what happened. You're looking at this, and you know that you need the cue ball in a certain place to be. You can't just stop the cue ball. You're going to have to actually draw it back. I think you're on the wrong side of this, so it's going to draw it this way, and you're trying to you're trying to hit this to draw back over here to give at least give yourself some angle on shooting this. Um, you might have been straight in and you were trying to draw back. If you are, this is a long way to draw. Side pockets are bigger than the corners. I would shoot this into this side of the side pocket. Okay? That gives you a little bit of angle to go here and over off the rail. I'm not drawing this ball. There's too many things that can go wrong. You can pocket this ball and have your draw just go straight towards that. There's just too much that can go wrong with drawing this. Just pocket it. You might even, if I can't see the angle, if you're going to hit this 8 ball, use top left English so that when it hits the 8, it comes off the rail and spins down here for your next shot. The very last thing you want to do with this is you don't want to draw this to begin with. Too many things can go wrong with your draw. And what I think actually happened here is you were so focused on the leave that you forgot to make the shot. And I do that too. We all do it when we have a difficult leave. You start thinking about the leave and you get the leave and you miss the shot. So let's watch this. You're going to hit it. You've envisioned the leave, but you haven't seen the ball going in. So you drew back and you got as much angle as you possibly could. And yeah, that's laugh worthy. All right, you're setting this up. Let's see where you set it up. Okay, so you're going to draw this back. Drawing this back is the wrong shot. You want to set the cue ball over here at an angle so that you can shoot that 5 in and have the cue ball bounce off the rail, and straight up the leave zone. Drawing this back is very touchy, very speed sensitive, and even the slightest miss on this 5 can cause the cue ball to run up in a straight line towards the ball, and you're in trouble. So let's watch this. Okay, there's the draw. It's a good draw stroke. Um, I didn't, again, I didn't like that you got this much angle on this ball. You could have gotten a lot closer. This is an okay leave for where you were. I would have much preferred. Let's get to where we can see the table. Okay, so I would have preferred coming off the 5 and going side to side like this. And the reason is, if you're anywhere on this line, then you can shoot this in and just roll forward like this. Okay? Then you can shoot the 8 and just roll forward like this. See how that all just becomes a simple make the ball if you get on that line? But you didn't. You drew back and you ended up out here. You've got too much angle. So you probably took the right shot going this way. But man, there's a lot that can go wrong with that. Because you're going across and close to it. What happens if you bump that 8 and it rolls over here to the rail? Now you've got the cue ball here. If you bump the 8 on the way up, okay, comes up, bumps it, 8 ball rolls to the rail, cue ball rolls this way off of the 8, and you end up with this really tight cut and no way to get back down here. Much better on a shot like that to just do the simple thing, shoot it in and come up that way, um, from a shallower angle. Let me just shoot it in this way, come up here, bounce off the rail, and then when you shoot then you've got a guaranteed shot on the 8. You're not going to bump it. You're not going anywhere near it. You've got a straight shot up the table, and you can just roll the cue ball either straight up into position, or I like it better if you have a little bit of angle, and then after you shoot the 8, you come off that rail and come up this way. So I would, this all goes back to that ball in hand on the 5. If you put the ball in hand over here so that you get an angle, you don't want to make the shot too hard, but you get enough angle to get to the rail, go this way and right into position for that. And now it's a simple out. That ball in hand position is why you ended up at the wrong angle here, and then after this shot you end up here. Now you're on the inside of the 8. Um, kind of hard to tell how much angle you have, but if you draw this, which is what you're probably going to do, you're coming this way. And again, you've got this landing area that goes from about here to about here. So your speed has to be perfect. That's a 5 or 6 inch landing area. So your speed's going to have to be perfect. I actually like on this shot going forward this way. You just end up with a much bigger area. I would use speed to get here, and if I overrun it, I'm still okay. Okay, so you had more angle than I thought you had. So looks like you're going to draw this, and that's going to come over this way, which is fine, but again, trying to land it between here and here. Speed's got to be perfect. On this shot, I actually like going forward and up this way, and the reason I like that is everywhere from here all the way until you hit about here, you've got a good shot. When you're going the way that you're drawing it, you've just got here, and then once it's past that, you're done. And so if your draw takes off on you, or if your draw dies on you, here you've got a tough shot. You get down here, you've got a tough shot. You've really got to be in this exact position. So I really like the idea of let's go forward and down this way. Follow that line, and then from here to here is your position zone. That's a whole lot more. That's about 2 feet that you can land in as opposed to 6 inches. So I really like taking speed out of the equation on this one. Um, that said, you executed it great. Uh, you landed exactly in that zone. I just didn't like going this way to get there. Too much that can go wrong. You ended up a little below the 9, but you're okay.